5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. This is the podcast where my co-hosts and I listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer media from the previous week, and we get together to podcast hosts. And today we are back at Higher Gravity Summit Park. Thank you for being a gracious podcast host. Now, this is where we give our version of the truth of how those podcasts and craft beer media went, and hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other craft beer media. So far in 2024, we're void of any consequences. But the year is young, and we have plenty of time to
fuck things up.
Yeah. And my name is Marco. I'm a craft beer. I'm actually a taproom manager here locally, formerly a brewer. I guess. I mean, are you ever not? I guess once you do it. And then that other voice you heard belongs to the best co-host in Podcast Landia.
I'm Julia, and I am back. Nice. After a very short hiatus, I'm very glad to be back on.
Glad to have you back.
You guys did a phenomenal job last week,
Thank you.
I'm like, maybe I could just step back and let you two run, and both of you went absolutely not.
Yeah, we said
We're not
tonight.
doing
No,
this.
No.
But no, I am a drinker of all of the craft beer in the Cincinnati area, and I have opinions on Costco hot dogs, and Mount Rushmore is just mid.
Yeah, it's mid.
It's mid. But yeah, that's what I got.
Yes, all the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with, such as Higher Gravity or our full-time jobs. So that being said, no craft beer podcast would be a good, decent, or even a great craft beer podcast if you weren't having some sort of beverage. And today we are having craft beer.
Yes.
It could be alcoholic, it could be non-alcoholic. We could have cocktails, we could have spirits, we could have whatever it is, but we're having craft beer.
Cold brew coffee from a local roastery, right?
Sure.
I mean, it could be anything.
Sure. But what you drinking, Julia?
I believe I'm drinking the exact same thing that you're drinking.
Yeah.
This is from Dankhouse Brewing Company. This is brand new to Higher Gravity Summit Park as of this morning. Left-handed slap, which is called on the can a West Coast style India Pale Ale. I can't see through this, and it is juicy as hell, so I'm calling it a hazy.
I'm calling it a hazy as well.
I don't think it's quite New England, but it's definitely, to me, not a West Coast.
Not a West Coast.
It's good, though.
Sorry, Dankhouse, you are incorrect.
It's a good beer.
It is
but
a very
it's just,
good beer.
When I think of West Coast, what I'm seeing in the glass, what I'm smelling, what I'm tasting,
it's inconsistent with the style guidelines.
Yes.
Let's say. However, not inconsistent with being delicious. So we don't rate, and we are not casting stones at this as a very tasty beer.
No, not at all.
So, all of that being said, what else, Julia? Did I forget anything in the intro?
I don't think so. I think the only thing left to do is make sure that we're on the same page with all the pieces of Cincinnati-based craft beer media that we have to talk about tonight.
Okay.
Because we have a pretty good list tonight, so put on to your butts. This may be a longer-ish episode.
Hold on to your butts.
Yes. This one I'm pretty sure you're familiar with.
Okay.
Blake the Brewery Explorer, or just the Brewery. The Brewery? Wow, starting off fantastic. The Brewery Explorers, Thirsty Thursday, they featured you on this past week's Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there? Okay, you were present in all forms, mental, physical, all kinds of good stuff.
And metaphysical.
We have an episode of Shivved Beers
Yay!
to talk about. They
Shivved
made
Beers.
it back. So we will be talking about them. We have an episode of Cincy Brewcast where he talks to Adam of Adam Makes Beer.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Adam makes beer.
Fantastic. We have 2 episodes of the Weekly Pint.
Yes.
All right. And then we have Brewsky's Booze News.
Yes. I'm check all those boxes.
Good. And then there are actually 2 other pieces of craft beer media, or craft media, I guess is more accurate, that I just want to give a quick shout out to. They didn't quite fit into our wheelhouse, but just wanted to,
it's bumping here
give
tonight,
mention.
Julia.
It really is bumping. Hopefully you guys can hear us over
They're fine.
the rockin' music. All right. Shout out to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Brewery Explorers podcast. They covered Whiskey Rebellion Day up at Warped Wing up in, is that Troy? No, Dayton.
Dayton.
Well, I think I said Troy because That's where
Blake lives.
Blake resides in.
Yeah.
Not going to cover the whole episode because Whiskey Rebellion Day really isn't a thing at their other locations. It's really just a big thing at the Dayton location.
Right.
Whiskey Rebellion shows up at all the other tap rooms, but it's not really a Cincinnati thing, or it's not something that they have events at all the other locations.
Right.
But it was a really good episode with Noah, Blake, and Eric as the brewery explorers, and then Warped Wing owners John and Nick, and brewers Quentin and Chris were all on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely give it a listen if you have interest in Whiskey Rebellion, Warped Wing, Whiskey Rebellion Day. I am having
Whiskey Rebellion
all
Day.
kinds of fun saying words today. And then also want to shout out a brand new podcast that just came out. This is one that, much like the Brewery Explorers and some of the other podcasts out there, we'll kind of touch on here and there as it fits into our wheelhouse.
Right.
The Cincy 5 O'Clock Tales podcast with Molly Wellman and Abby Cummins. Abby Cummins is of Everything Cincy, fantastic social media account of everything to do in the Cincinnati area.
Nice.
They got together. They're going to be talking to all kinds of people from the Cincinnati area. But this was an episode where they talked to Marty Brennaman. They talked a little bit about liquor and the Reds and Marty's history as a Cincinnatian. So it was absolutely fantastic to listen to. Episode didn't fit into what we typically talk about. So keep an eye on this one. I think it's going to be a really fun podcast to cover. All right, that being said, let's get into the main recaps that we have to do. Where do you want to start?
Let's talk about Thirsty Thursday.
Okay. All right, we're going to get you out of the way first. So
Yeah,
this is
it's a good idea.
This was on YouTube, and I believe it's reshared to their Facebook page, if I'm recalling correctly.
I think
watched
so.
it on YouTube, so that's where I'm pulling this from. This was posted on January the 11th of 2024. Thirsty Thursday, Cincinnati Beer Media with Marco Pania.
Okay.
I don't know if this is going to be a crazy long recap for us, just because it talked about who you are, your intro into craft beer, all that good stuff, and then about this podcast.
Yep.
And we're never really good about recapping our own podcast. So
Yeah.
take that with a grain of salt, but it was a great interview. I loved watching you on the show. Let's see, Noah and Blake learned that you were grandfathered in to legally drinking alcohol before the law changed in Louisiana.
Well, I was grandfathered in, so therefore I was legal.
Well, right, yeah. But so I looked up because I'm like, well, when did the law change?
Okay.
When was that? So you have been grandfathered in since the law changed to for the legal drinking age to be 21 in 1887.
Yep.
Which explains just how old you
Yep.
are.
And the internet is always accurate.
It absolutely is always accurate. We should start allowing shots in parking lots again. No, I say again. I don't think that was ever really a thing in
should
Ohio.
be.
It should be. You should be allowed to get shots of whatever your choice of liquor is, handed
Yeah.
out of a drive-through window, park in the parking lot, toss it back. There you go.
We didn't even park. We were in the drive-thru.
God.
You know, I mean, we were in between, like
The window that you pay at and the window that you pick up.
Well, what
your-
happens is you order at the big screen that talks at you, right? Then you go to the window, you stop at the window, they hand you the shots, you do your shots, they walk away to give you the time to do your shots and to go grab your other,
That's
you know,
amazing.
whatever other things you're ordering.
That's amazing.
Come back, you hand them the shot tubes back, and they hand you the other alcohol.
We need it.
We do need it.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, again, not condoning drinking and driving, anything like that.
No,
but
absolutely not.
if you're in a stationary, safe place to where, you know, it's kind of like door,
Like a drive-thru,
the
you're
doors
stopped.
Yeah, for a bit.
Yeah.
Boy, this isn't sounding any better, is it? No, no, not at all. Marka, you expose our note taking and how our notes are almost exactly the same week in
Yeah,
and week out.
week in and week out.
Which people think that we joke about that. Our notes match.
Exactly the same.
They
Match.
match. Every now and then,
Yeah.
we'll have something that's a little bit different from each other, but that's what makes the show great. It's also
It
why we
does.
don't talk about the shows before we start recording.
Exactly.
Because we know we're on the same page there. Talked a bit about how we find Cincinnati podcasts and other media to talk about, because
Yes.
that is a huge thing, and there are still probably plenty out there that we don't know about or that's
So
still
hit
brand
us up
new.
if you're out there.
So let us know if we're missing something. I did want to kind of clarify something that
Sure.
was a combination question statement from Noah, kind of on that. He asked how we found and picked the podcast to judge in our episodes. We're not judging the podcast, so anyone that finds us by watching Thirsty Thursdays, we're not judging these podcasts. We're going, oh, this was a great episode because of this, and oh, we hate this podcast because we don't like how they do that. We are recapping what happens in these shows so that people that go, I don't know where to find Cincinnati Craft Beer Media, or there are like 37,000 pieces of content on that. What do I spend my time listening to? We want to try to recap those so you can get a little snippet of information from us and decide from there, ooh, I definitely want to listen to this one. I definitely want to watch that video. That way your time is spent focusing on the subjects within the craft beer community that you're interested in, and hopefully expand that out to say, oh, I didn't know that there was a YouTube channel on this. I didn't know there was a podcast on that. And just broaden your horizons on what is going on in the Cincinnati craft beer community.
Right.
So we're not judging the podcast. We're having fun with talking about them because we have a passion for listening to them and sharing what is out there with all of you. They talked about the newest beer baron in Cincinnati, Sam Cooke.
Hey.
Which again,
Oh, new guy.
These are the things that we see and hear and just like to have fun with, all in good spirits. You know, this is
Yes.
all fun and encouraging and trying to promote all of these other shows in a fun way. Again, we want to pique people's interest in things like Thirsty Thursdays and the Brewery Explorers and everything else that's out there. So that's what we do.
That's what we do.
Yep. Cheers to the Cincy content creators and support local were the two last takeaways that I had for this episode.
And they were the last takeaways that I gave.
Exactly.
On that episode.
Exactly. I know that I kind of, ran most of talking about this episode because you did
I
all the
was on
talking
it.
on the episode.
Yeah, I did all the talking
But
on
is there
it,
anything
so.
else that you want to mention about being on Thirsty Thursday, or anything else to
I just
kind of
want to
drive
say
people to watch?
Thank you for the invite. I was flattered. You had in season 1 of the Brewery Explorers, you had some really great knock them out the park guests.
Oh, yeah.
And so for you to even be interested in talking about this podcast and what we do, truly honored to take the time to talk with you about that. But yeah, thank you. And go and watch, listen, and listen to previous content from the Brewery Explorers, Blake and Noah. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Awesome. Let's move on to the next one. We have, and Marco, I'll let you pick again because you're good at picking what we talk about next. We have shift beers. We
Okay.
have Brew Sky's booze news, and
Yep.
we have like 3,000 pieces of gnome content to talk about.
We can finish with Gnome, I guess.
Okay.
So we'll go shift beers.
Shift beers.
Welcome
Yes.
back.
I caught the hand signal for the
Yeah.
back. It's one of these days Gnome will get it, but it is tricky. We've had like 2 years to work on getting the timing right.
Well, it's
It's fine. It's fine.
It'll take them a bit.
This is Shift Beers episode 119, Malort Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. They came back from their hiatus with a bang.
Yeah. They
No
came out
holds
of, a little bit of hibernation, a little bit of, just a break.
Sure. Life and chaos. I mean, that's pretty much
And
all there is to
they
it.
put out on social media, what should we do? What should we infuse Malort with?
Yes. It wasn't good enough to just try like 4 different. I didn't even realize there were multiple versions of Malort,
Yeah.
like legit versions out there.
Yeah, all the Malorts.
All the different Malorts, but yeah, they wanted to go one up, and they wanted to know, okay, we're gonna infuse some of these. What do we put in there?
Sounds like a terribly fantastic, terrible idea.
Agreed. And I think it was. As we
It
go over the
turned
episode,
out to be.
it absolutely was.
I keep hearing about this fucking Malort, by the way. They keep
bet you
offering
do.
it to me. Like, I got some of this for you.
and you're like, Are you gonna buy it like at face value, or you to let Josh kind of?
No, they want.
Oh,
they want.
I know what they want.
Yeah.
I listened to the episode. I know what they want. They started the episode with blue teeth and doing the damn thing. Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful cold open to where you just start off going, oh, this is already so off the rails. What is the rest of the episode going to be like? And it was absolutely fantastic. And what was great is they had the entire team back. It was all 4 of the original shift beers, and I believe Corey was in the background, rating and doing Corey things.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. They had some damn fine crispy can cracks to start the episode with.
Good
so getting
ones.
that ASMR in immediately, because as we know, once the Malort starts flowing, the sounds don't really they're not good. They're not good noises that are made from the
Not good
shift
noises.
beerers. They did, as always, drinking. Which, do you want to give a guess on how long drinking was?
Ooh, I didn't even think to think about that.
Because I always make fun of them for it being like 2/3 of the episode.
Yeah.
So of course I started timing it. I mean, that was like
That's
a
good.
challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, to drinking.
Yes. And this is from when they started with the first, Beth or whoever the first person is, what you drinking, until they start saying, okay, so let's break out the main subject of the episode.
Okay, so not the intro.
Correct,
But
not that initial
Once
intro.
they actually start and say, drinking.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to say 17 minutes.
Okay, the episode was 59 minutes, I believe. It was barely under an hour.
Right, it was under an hour.
Okay, so you're saying like 17-ish minutes?
I'm saying 17.
Okay. Close.
Okay.
23 minutes.
Yeah.
They're
Sounds right.
always very good about hitting around that 23-minute mark, and I love it. Some of the things that they talked about in drinking, other than what they were drinking, they discussed the best places to poop in and around Beth's house. That was a phenomenal
Good idea.
conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
I never knew that I
good
needed to
insight.
know that information, but hey, next time or first time that I'm invited over to Beth's, I already know. Everything's already mapped out and planned out.
Mm-hmm.
They went over what the fuck is a gleek and why are they talking about
I knew about
gleeks,
it.
and oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I was with Beth. I didn't realize there was an actual name for
You
what
didn't
that
know
is.
that?
No.
You didn't know about gleeks?
I knew about them. I didn't know they had a name. Jangle vibes with grandmas and plays tallboy roulette,
He does.
which is amazing. I love it.
He would be the guy that
He would
vibes
be.
with grandma.
He would be. Gail still fucking rocks, and Corey is the best wife ever. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, good
Agreed.
to know that that's still that none of that has changed.
Gail rocks.
And they talked about how there were freaking gallons of beer drank in a single day. And then they got into all the Malorts, which I don't know if they were glad to get into, like the main focus of the show, or not. You know, was it the same feeling of terrified anticipation as when I ate that piece of that Carolina Reaper pepper? Was it this, oh, I know this isn't going to be good, but I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen, or was it just sheer dread from everyone? I think Josh was excited about
I think
it.
Josh was excited about it.
Yeah.
I think everybody else was happy to get back together and knew that they were all basically taking it for the team.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
It was just
absolutely.
Like, we're going to do this.
They had 4 legitimate different kinds of Malort, which again, no, didn't realize that there were multiple types of Malort.
Didn't.
And then they had 2 infusions that they made themselves, or I guess that probably Josh made for everyone.
You also learned about Malort a little bit.
Yep.
A little bit
of the history.
A little bit of the history of Malort. So it's not
Exactly.
a total just a
There's some education behind it, right?
yeah. It's not meant to be educational
Well, but
necessarily. it's meant to be fun.
Yeah, but you get some beverage education about it. Like, okay, so for some people, what is Malort? Never heard of it, or well, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
who used to
Some
own
good
it? Who does
information.
own it?
Exactly. We found out that Malort gets better if you shoot it. You shoot it, and it just
Yeah.
one and done. It's you shoot it, it's gone. It's
Yeah, it's like a Band-Aid. Just rip it off.
Rip it off, and yeah, the pain doesn't last that much longer.
Yeah. Or
And,
duct tape over your
yeah.
mouth.
Yes.
You just
Yep.
Yep.
You could like wax of everything in the
and then you turn around and say thank you, ma'am.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Hard tea was either the best or the worst palate cleanser for in between shots of Malort.
Also an up and coming rap artist.
Hard tea. I believe it. I buy it. Let's see. They had a very interesting rating scale for the different types of Malort, which we're not going to go into all 4 different kinds because, again, we're just going to be repeating what they're saying. And we're trying not to have our recaps be longer than the episodes themselves.
Sometimes not going to happen.
Sometimes not going to happen. Sometimes whatever. The rating system was amazing. It went from swamp ass to booty butt.
Yeah.
And I'll let you guys decide which is which one's the positive and which one's the negative. Yeah. Got those cheeks clapping.
Yeah.
It was fantastic to listen to them, count down 3, 2, 1, go, shoot them, and then just the almost instant visceral reactions
And then there was
that happened.
a booty butt cheek clapping.
There were some
like-
sound effects in the background that I'm like, I'm not sure where these are coming from.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to know where they're coming from. Sometimes I wish that there was a video element to Shift Beers.
Congratulations to the winner.
Big congratulations to the winner. After that, then they tried the 2 infused versions, which I will tell you what they are. Or
Yes.
Marco, you can. I've been talking too much. You can tell everyone what those 2 infusions were.
One was peppermint, and then the other was Slim Jim. Oh yeah!
And where exactly did they get the idea to infuse one with a Slim Jim?
From me.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
You are doing the Lord's work when it comes to Shift Beers and what they're drinking.
Malort's work.
The Malort. Oh,
Yeah.
damn, that was good. That might be the title of this episode, The Malort's Work. That is
I felt
wonderful.
like I nailed the assignment, and yet
You
every
absolutely
time,
did.
anytime either Josh, Beth, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
or Brian see me, they look at me like I am Beelzebub.
I mean, they didn't have to. They could have just said, "Oh, someone else said this." I
Right.
gave them a couple suggestions on, I believe it was the Twitter or the X or whatever in the world it's called
Yeah.
now. Completely ignored, so they're lost. We finally found the one thing that Chris will not eat in this episode.
Yes.
There's not a lot. Like, he's one of
Yeah.
those people, like, he'll try anything.
Yeah, we'll try whatever. Could you
I will-
imagine
yeah.
Macho Man there trying to pump him up to eat or to drink? Let me not go into
yeah,
eating. Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, let me get
We're
ready.
going to do this.
We're gonna. Do. Anyways,
I'm
I can't do it.
sad
It's a little too
that-
gravelly. It hurts
yeah,
the back
it
of the
hurts.
throat. Like, oh yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that Josh didn't look up a couple Macho Man like sound clips to throw in, like
That
to
would've
throw
been
on the
good.
board. That would have been amazing.
That would've been good.
So Josh, next episode.
R.I.P. Papo.
Yeah, true that. They covered a bit of legalese over more
Uh-huh.
and like, can you own an infusion? Like, can you actually own putting something into something else? Yeah. Which is interesting. That was a cool conversation.
Yeah.
And then they ended it with who's going to eat this? And
Who's
I
gonna
will,
eat this now?
And I will say
Who's gonna eat this now?
to the few people
We could
of
ask
Shift
Diddy
Beers.
if you could. Never mind.
No, absolutely not.
Let's stick.
Julia, will man up and eat a piece of it.
Ooh.
I will regret it immediately.
Ooh.
But I am not smart. So there's like something like that. And it's like, shit, I'll do it. I mean, the Carolina Reaper. I know it's going to be a terrible idea, but fuck it, I'll do it.
That was a bad idea.
It's a moment of
And you did do it.
misery. And I did do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was-
yeah. So
You do it again?
maybe. And I will also
No, but would you do a hotter pepper?
maybe.
See? And I won't. I'm just telling you.
Marco is a smart person.
I'm
So
not, but I won't.
to the fine Shift Beers crew, I will eat.
They're fine.
I will eat a piece, and I will regret it immediately. But I will do it because I am here for the Cincinnati craft beer creators. I'll do it.
If you eat a piece, I'll eat a piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There we
That's
go.
fair. Did you have any other notes on episode 119 of Shift Beers before we get to the burp count?
Nope.
All right. Episode 119, Malort Year's Eve.
Yeah, Malort Year's Eve.
Shift Beers had a total of 52 burps.
Okay.
They weren't really drinking a lot of carbonated stuff,
Right.
so,
It was
that's
all
fine,
just,
but that's still...
basically booze.
And I will say that, like, the first, like, 25-ish burps were all Beth. She fucking brought it.
Always.
She's amazing.
Always
she
brings
is
it.
absolutely amazing.
Always brings it with the burps.
And I will say to Beth, we will pour one out for Peggy. Hope that you guys are doing all right.
Yes.
With that. But yes, 52 burps. Take your sip.
52
That
burps.
is 104 ounces or 6.5 pints
Hell yeah.
of whatever beverage you choose to hopefully safely do this drinking game with.
6.5 pints in
In
under
an hour. Yeah,
an hour.
just under an hour. That's volume. I mean,
That is
that's
volume.
Volume.
Yeah.
That goes right back to that. So good job. Glad to have another episode for you guys. If you're starting to do this again, I will start giving you my Patreon bucks again. But for a bit, I needed to kind of switch up where my dollars were going because foundation repairs on your house are not cheap. So
Yeah.
cutting costs where I could. But I
Also,
love you guys, and
saving a little money
I
for
absolutely want to support you guys in any
some
way that I
elective
can.
surgeries that I'd like to have. So,
Yeah, like that leg lengthening one. We still have 4 shows to cover.
whoa.
Yes,
Okay.
I know. I think we're actually doing pretty decent time-wise, but it's still going to be, a good episode because now that I've said that, I have just thrown everything off track and out the window.
Okay.
We have 3 pieces of gnome content to talk about, and we also have the latest of Brewcast booze news. What do you want to do next?
Well, I want to finish with the gnome.
Okay.
So let's
So
talk
I guess
about
Brewcast booze news.
booze news.
All
yeah.
right. Let me.
My water's empty and my beer is about empty. So
Okay, so we will
Well,
run
we're-
through this and then
we're-
we'll take a break.
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
that.
Perfect. This episode aired on January the 15th of 2024. AI Sommeliers, High Noon, Freedom Cases, and more.
Yeah.
I want to start this off by shouting out something that they shouted out. There is actually Patreon content out there now.
How about that?
They're working on it. If you don't support them on Patreon, please go do so. It's a wonderful video, a really cool thing that the two of them were able to go out and do. I loved it. Phenomenal. They started after that with the question of the day. What is your favorite booze slang term? So we will answer that ourselves when we get
Okay.
to the end of the episode because they answered it themselves at the end of the episode.
Yep.
I am only going to spend... It's going to be under 5 seconds on this. You can talk about it more if you want to, but
Okay.
I refuse. Brewdog continues to fuck over their employees, so fuck them.
No, well said. We can move
All
on.
right, moving on.
Fuck them.
So
No,
the-
I don't.
the
I
thing
don't
about-
think everyone listening understands.
No.
Fuck them.
It had Mike incredibly fired the fuck up.
Yeah.
It was one of his best rants ever, and I
Good stuff.
behind it.
Go listen
100%.
and fuck Brewdog.
Absolutely. Let's see. There are new stats that High Noon is selling a shit ton of product. Like a lot.
It's kinda crazy.
More than what? Yeah, more than
It's
what?
kind of crazy. Now
kind of-
there's two. High Noon, to what I understand, has 2 different lines, even though they look exactly the fucking
the same. Right.
There's the basically vodka.
Like vodka flavored soda.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
And then there's a tequila base.
Mm-hmm.
And
You have a vodka base, a tequila base.
yes,
There's a whiskey
And it-
drink, lager drink.
same shit. Like different flavors, same shit.
Right.
Whatever. Like I am shocked
Yeah.
at the volume, the momentum, the push from High Noon.
The only thing that I can think of is the kind of continuing uptick in the uptrend of ready to drink cocktails. High Noon's been around forever, so it is a known brand name. So people are probably going, this has been around forever, so it's got to be good, so I'll buy it. Like that brand familiarity, even if they
know.
don't. I don't know.
I do-
That's
I
the
do
only.
not
That's the
know.
only hypothesis guess that
I am the
have.
wrong person for that.
Yeah, I've seen High Noon plenty of times. I know that they do buckets of High Noon at plenty of places. I've never had one, so maybe I should try one at some point just to be an educated consumer.
Sure.
Sure, why not? Never believe a beer style from Texas.
Yeah, they go into this into the.
That was interesting.
And
Yeah.
so it actually is deeper than just like bashing on a beer from Texas.
or
it
Texas
has,
in general.
yeah, or Texas
yeah,
in general.
yeah.
Shout out, Mom. But anyways, and the rest of the family.
And
on my side.
Cowboys, sorry about your luck.
Oh my God, the internet was so fantastic. As soon
You see how mad Jerry was?
oh God, the internet was so fantastic. As soon as the Cowboys started getting their asses fucking kicked, the internet showed up. Like it.
Oh God, yeah.
Like that day is a testament to why the internet is amazing.
Agreed.
Like, it's so fucking funny. It's so funny. And like some of these, look, Cowboys fans, some of them you just gotta step back and say, all right, that's creative. Like that's
Yes.
just creative.
Some of the things that were being posted out there, yeah, 100%. It was amazing. But yeah, beer styles from Texas, or what Texas, how they categorize a beer style. It's just
yes, and that's where it's interesting. Go and listen to that part of the content. Go and listen to the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that part
it's
of the
like 30
content
minutes,
is
35 minutes.
You got it.
Yes,
you got the time.
yes.
Just fucking go.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Mike absolutely loves the idea of giving up freedom for convenience. He went on about that for quite a while, which just shows
That actually may prompt him to reach out.
we may have a consequence from saying that.
We may.
But the freedom cases that this all kind of stemmed from.
Freedom cases.
And how that ties into absolutely everything else that...
That's like calling the biggest guy Little John. Just want to say.
Yes. It 100% is. Yes, that's a perfect analogy for that. They talked about...
Calling like a big guy Slim.
Yes.
Yeah. Freedom
Yes.
case. Yeah. We'll see how much freedom you have. Check out the pod.
The whole thing was absolutely
check out the
ridiculous.
video,
Watch the
vlog,
video
whatever it
on. They started talking about some of the current wine trends. The biggest one being, which, hold on to your ass, Marco.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest trends right now: use grapes to make your wine.
It's crazy.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew that was going to be
Big trend
such
in
a
wine
thing?
is grapes.
Also, another big trend: buy fruit blood wine. It's co-fermented, which means they use fruit to make the wine. And the third trend in wine that they talked about, canned wine, is the new way to go.
There's a lot in that part of the discussion.
There is, yes. But again, we're not going to take 30 minutes to cover a 30-minute episode.
No, I'm not.
But
I'm not.
There is a lot. This episode covers a lot of ground in that 30-some-odd minutes.
It does. Like, it's wine. It's made out of grapes. What the fuck?
Right,
But
right.
There is a category
yes.
of natural wine, and you're like, what the hell?
Like, okay.
Didn't know there was unnatural
Yep,
wine. Well,
yep.
it's not that it's unnatural. It just is more about the process, and it actually goes all the way back to the way the vineyard is cared for.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a lot of things that you may not think about when you pick up a bottle of wine. It's like it's.
But then when you hear
fermented.
about it, you're like, oh, okay, that does make
It's
sense.
fermented
Yeah,
grape
yeah.
juice. I mean, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
there's layers to all of this.
Yep. AI, artificial intelligence,
Alan
sommeliers. Alan Iverson, exactly.
The answer?
They remove the douche factor.
Yeah, the
to a
douchebaggery.
human sommelier, but that got me thinking. AI uses what it learns based off of what humans put out there into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So how can some of those like douchebag vibes and biases, like those are going to somehow filter into some of those results? So
Yes.
I understand how using an AI sommelier might give you potentially a less biased opinion on a wine, but it can't remove all bias because it's still taking from what humans are putting out there.
Well, what it does, it removes the human who is staring and judging at
Oh,
you.
this is true.
From
It removes the judgment factor. Good point. Good
judging you for wanting something. I really like Merlots, but I like sweet wine. And can I get something a little bubbly? And then the sommelier is looking at you like you.
I'm sorry, dry and flat is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
In this establishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Like don't you? I think maybe you need to go find some Boone's Farm and maybe shop somewhere else.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it removes that sort of douchebaggery, which is a person-to-person thing.
Yeah.
So it removes that. So it's basically just AI spitting this stuff out at you, which then you have to take it for what it's worth.
Something that we're not going to spend a lot of time on, because this might kind of touch on a bonus if we get one done today. Robot bartenders have got to be hot. And
Well, if you're going to do it, then
right, why not? Just animate a real doll, and there you go. How much can one banana cost? It's got to be like at least $10, right?
whether it should or whether it does or should, I think are two different questions.
Fair point. Let's see. You need to drink booze to not go crazy.
Apparently, that's true.
Drink too much, drink
Agreed.
too little. You just got to drink, which we are 100% here for.
Checking that box today.
100%. Non-alcoholic story of the week. There were two of them. Some people are digging tunnels under synagogues, which again, watch the episode to get a little more in-depth on that.
Yeah.
And did you know that it's the start of Finger Lickin' Chicken Week in Kentucky?
Jesus. You can't make this shit up.
We try and we can't.
You can't make this shit up.
No.
Martin Luther King Day is the start of Finger Lickin' Chicken Day.
Week.
You can't. Week. That is
Kentucky.
Oh, God.
Yep.
All right.
I know. I know. I don't even know what to say about that other than just like, what?
I want to say people don't get mad at us. We did not
Brett
make
and
this
Mike.
shit.
No, don't get mad at Brett and Mike
They didn't make
either.
that shit up either.
Or did they? We have no. I didn't internet that.
You know what? I'm not gonna pin that on them. Not pin. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then they got back around to their question of the day, which is, what is your favorite booze slang term? And that could be something like crispy boy or like liquid or,
Right.
whatever. Do you have...
I want to punch anyone that says liquid, by the way.
I think most people do.
Yeah.
I get it, and sometimes it makes sense in the frame of the conversation, but it's always just...
I'll do anything to
cringe.
avoid talking about what's in a glass or a can or a bottle, calling it liquid.
Yeah.
I want to punch anybody who does that.
So do you have a favorite booze or drinking slang term?
I actually like one that's already been said over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I like stovepipe.
Stovepipe is a good one.
I like that one.
It is a good one.
That's the 19.2 ounce can. I like it.
And I know what a stovepipe is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I like, what was it? Like nuking brews or something instead of like housing. Well, I guess housing is a good one.
Oh, necking.
Necking.
Yeah.
Necking brews
That's from
England.
England.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to go necking.
I like housing. Like I'm going to house this, 30 rack of Kurz or
Dome.
High Life or whatever. Get doming
Doming it.
Yeah, those are good. As always, an amazingly fun episode. Check them
good time.
out. Watch their episodes on YouTube for Brew Skies Booze News. Listen to their podcast, Brew Skies Happy Hour.
The bruisiest news.
It's amazing. It's fantastic. And if you don't have anything else, are you ready for the sip count?
I am.
All right. So Brett took 32 sips.
Oh, B-Ret.
Mike, he took 18 sips. So that gave them a grand total of 50 sips.
Ooh.
Hell yeah, in like a 30-minute episode.
Wow.
Once again, like that's Shift Beer's numbers in
That's
half the
strong.
time. So that breaks down to 100 ounces, which translates
Goodness.
to 6 1/4 pints.
Hell yeah.
So they're doing the Lord's work,
Yes.
the Malort's work,
Malort's work.
in less time. Anything else on Brew Skies Booze News before we take our first break of the evening and then get on to all things gnome?
No, but I've had 3 pints of water.
Yeah,
I need to go to the bathroom.
I've had a lot. Shout out to producer Alex. He is keeping us well hydrated in between
Yeah.
our drinks. But oh my gosh.
Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
All right.
All right, we will be right back. We have made it
Back.
and I am still working on. Well, I'm almost done with my. We shared a can of the non-West Coast IPA that you picked out at first.
Yeah,
but
the non-West Coast.
Yes, but the beer that I was drinking prior to
Left-handed
that.
slap.
Yes, Left-Handed Slap by Dankhouse. But the beer that I had before we opened that, so I'm kind of going back to my original beer. Back is another Favor the Foxes because it's just a really damn good beer, I think. I really enjoy this one. This is going to turn into another. I'm always going to get a glass of it as long as it's on the tap board.
Yeah.
Until the keg blows, I will always have one of these.
There have been a few beers here that you've done
that I've done that with, and I am not upset about it at all. You, sir, have
Hop Juju.
a tried and true.
Yep.
A classic, yes. Very fresh out of the beer cooler.
No, it's fresh out of the beer cooler.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
All right, we have a bunch of gnomes.
Three pieces of content.
3 pieces of content. We have an episode of Cincy Brewcast, and then we have 2 episodes of the Weekly Pint. So where would you like to start, sir?
Let's go to Cincy Brewcast because Weekly Pint had a pop-up pod and then the pod from last night.
Yeah, and that also kind of puts them in chronological order for how they came out and came about. Yeah.
Good.
All right, that works. So on season 9, episode 19, or volume 9, episode 19 of the Cincinnati Brewcast.
Cheers, everyone. We cheers when we say that podcast wrong. It's the Cincy Brewcast, what we say.
It's a thing.
The Cincinnati
we have fun with
Brewcast.
it.
Cheers and drink.
This was a phenomenal interview that I am so glad that he got to do.
I'm glad too.
This is Adam Makes Beer, content creator, beer, and getting to where you want to be.
Yeah, Adam Mills from Adam Makes Beer. Mm-hmm. Also formerly of Cartridge Brewing and currently of Sonder Brewing.
Yeah, they recorded. I actually watched the video of this interview.
I didn't watch the
YouTubes.
video. I was just audio.
They recorded in the Sonder studio. The Sonder Stories studio.
Oh.
You saw like some of the mic stands for their stuff. It's like, oh man, the stuff's they're just begging to be used.
Yes.
I believe, and Gnome can correct me if I misheard this, but there may have been a brief audio-only audio appearance by Justin in the background. I believe his laugh kind of punctured through some of the... I'm pretty sure it was him. But again, Gnome can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
There was no from the beer fridge.
Nope.
There were beverages on the table, but there was no from the beer fridge. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there. It's the episode.
Maybe some of the information from later plays into that.
Oh, this is true. This is very true. It started off with Gnome wanting Adam to be his kind of beer wingman. Whenever he goes out somewhere, he's like, Adam, I need you either sitting next to me or I need you on speed dial. So if there's something about a beer that I'm like, oh, I want to know more about this, Adam is that go-to guy. Mm-hmm. Because as we have said many a time about the Adam Makes Beer podcast YouTube channel, his technical knowledge about beer is ridiculous.
That's good.
It is crazy. It is fantastic.
He's a teacher by profession formerly, and he really loves to take in knowledge and information and then be able to find a way to put it out to people so that they can take in that information and learn. So I like it.
Yeah. They started with the intro of how Adam got into beer, and it pretty much started with him being educated by Franciscan monks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then from there, it kind of it flowed down into, I don't want to say the typical path that professional brewers go into, but it started with, education, with drinking, with being introduced to craft beer, and then to home brewing, and then to competitive home brewing, and then to some guy calling him up saying, I'm starting a brewery. I see you've won some stuff. You wanna brew for me on a professional level?
And the local paper.
Exactly. Shout out from the local newspaper.
Featured him.
Yes.
All over the newspaper because he's
amazing at what he's doing.
Acclaimed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's not just famous, he's infamous.
They talked a bit about, they kind of geeked out and went a little technical in a couple areas, but this is an interview that everyone should listen to. It is very accessible to everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't go too deep into, it does discuss how Adam Makes Beer does go down that road, but it doesn't go too deep to where the actual interview gets
into a technical educator.
Right. It doesn't get sideways or sidetracked and go too technical.
A water or water profile podcast, like either an episode or like a small like mini series, I think would be fascinating to an extent. Like I think that if Adam did one,
oh yeah,
he would be phenomenal. Adam,
sign me up, or I would sign up and then get to it when I get to it.
I think, but it is. It's one of those things. It's one of those things where it plays such a huge role in beer.
It's extremely important.
And because I know that a lot of times when the Brewer of Seville podcast was a thing,
yeah, RIP.
that was almost one of his questions to every person, every brewery that he talked to. How's your water here? Do you have to do anything to your water? Like it is a very important and critical piece. Like I think that everyone knows, yeah, there's water in beer. Without water, you don't have beer. But
true.
The depth to which you have to make sure that water is what you want it to be for the taste to be. Yeah, I would listen to it. How many other people would? I don't know, but it's one of these crazy little facets of brewing that I don't know. It interests me.
Well, good.
Yes.
It could be interesting for sure.
Yeah. From there, they dove into the nuances of the word hazy, much like we did with this beer.
Yeah, it's a big discussion.
We were talking with producer Alex about it.
It's a big discussion.
It really is. Hazy versus juicy versus New England versus, opaque West Coast. There's a lot to it, but I think that Adam was able to put it very succinctly what the, I guess, technical definition of hazy when it comes to a beer is.
And you should listen to that. That's a good interaction. Let me help everybody. West Coast, clear. If it's not clear and it's a West Coast, you fucked up. You fucked up, period. You did not do the steps right to make a beer correctly, period. Now, the other ones are forgiving in many of those ways because you could still fuck up and make a hazy beer, and you could still fuck up and make a beer that tastes like juice.
Yes.
And so there's plenty of room to hide behind all the problems in the processes. But anyways, back to the
digress.
Back to the continuing
Yes.
recap.
From there, they started to take the path down content creating because Adam puts out a video a day. Like he puts out a ton of content, which the way he breaks up the bigger pieces of what he does into daily chunks, absolutely brilliant. Love it. It is exactly what needs to be done for what he is doing.
We could do that.
We could.
We could actually just break it up and release all week.
Every day.
4 different chunks of content. 5 different chunks of content.
I mean, just think about it. If just say each episode is 70 minutes long, which they're all longer than that.
Longer, shorter, give or take, whatever.
That's 1 10-minute episode per day. We could do one a day. I just don't feel like cutting everything up. I mean, it flows better when you get it all in one gigantic chunk, a gigantic-er chunk, if you're a Patreon subscriber. So definitely
that's
keep
the way
an eye
we
on
are.
that.
We blow big chunks.
We do it for you.
That's right. Big chunks.
Oh my goodness. This was an interesting, I'm going to call it a fact that
Let's go.
that they said, because it is very true. Anymore, YouTube is almost the new Google. If you want to know something,
so good.
You'll search in Google, but 9 times out of 10, the first result for, okay, what is this? It's going to be a video on YouTube. You want to watch.
My wife changed an alternator in a Ford Mustang 4 times by getting the actual instructions off of YouTube.
Yes, I believe it.
She's amazing.
You could do anything just by watching YouTube videos. I mean, every now and then you might want the.
Can we get LeVar Burton to do like an intro for YouTube, like instead of "You can fly twice as high"?
Which
take a look, it's in a book. Reading Rainbow. And LeVar Burton could be LeVar Burton could be the YouTube person.
He does a podcast where he just reads short stories.
Does he really?
Yes, it's wonderful.
Can we get him to
Sure, let's just reach out.
Reread our podcast?
There's one way to find out. I'm gonna send him my notebook of notes and say, hey, can you just read these? And he'll be like, I can't read this shit.
Yeah,
This
you
is chicken
might
scratch."
want to type that.
I might want to type it up and then send
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I mean, answers always no until you ask.
That's true.
That's true. Which is why we don't have Utopia.
And
why we don't have like big name guests on our show because we don't ask. Speaking of Jim, we are asking you.
Yeah, Jim.
Show up.
Jim.
We'll reach out about actually getting
Come on,
something
Jim.
scheduled.
Show up over here.
Yes, you know where we are.
Yeah.
Everyone knows where we are and when we are here because we don't lie about that. All right, anyway, back to the podcast. People want to watch the process of making beer. Adam talked a little bit about strategically place cameras in a brew house on a brew day. That would be such a cool live stream, like just a brewery. Like you just click and you can.
I actually did watch one of those. There are breweries out there that do that.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I clicked on one of them, and then I finally got to the point where, like,
You're like, 4 hours have passed.
Correct. It's
Wow.
like the Yule log of watching brewers.
Well, I mean, you guys know that I'll put on like a live stream of that covers a train, a railroad track.
Yeah.
Just in case a train. And a lot of times I'll leave that tab in my browser open in the background while I'm doing other stuff. So it's just like this ambient noise. And then whenever I hear the clanging of the train gates going down, it's like I flip back over like, I'm going to see the train. It's going to be awesome. I would absolutely watch a live stream of a brewery, of, just kind of the ins and outs, just, random stuff happening here and there. It would be absolutely fantastic, but that's a lot of bandwidth. That's a lot of figuring out, okay, where do we put the cameras to where they're not either in the way or they're not showing things that we don't want to be seeing, that type of stuff. Let's see. What other things? Some of the areas of his content. He does Q&A from like drinkers to brewers. So he covers the full spectrum of people submit questions that they want or would like for him to answer. And those could be questions from a novice such as myself, where all I do is drink beer and then go, I'd like to understand more about what I'm drinking, to a brewer saying, I'm having trouble getting my West Coast IPA to be clear. What can I do? He covers it all. And then, as we said before, he breaks a lot of that up into little chunks, which he then releases on a daily basis. So he really does have content for everyone, just not all of his content is for everyone. You kind of have to search through and pick out the
little
ones
chunks.
That exactly. Fine. I see. That just is gross to me now.
It is.
It's accurate.
It is.
But thank
That's
you.
why I said it.
You kind of ruined that for me.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're not welcome. I was just about to say that. No. I'm not thanking you for any of that. They talked about how to manage the positive and the negative comments and feedback that you get from pretty much putting yourself out there via any form of social media. You put yourself out into the public, you could get, any number of different responses. Mm-hmm. Luckily, most of them are positive, but you will occasionally get some negative feedback. And
how do we handle that?
We just ignore it.
There
we
you
look
go.
at it and then we laugh and we make fun of it.
Yeah.
Like I forget.
Moving on.
I forget their name, but I remember the single piece of negative content or negative feedback that we got. Do you remember it? Because, we don't post a ton of stuff. I do want to get better at posting more content.
It was...
You had to think about it, but yeah, we had
was that the big fucking announcement or something like that?
Yes, it was our big
live show.
It was our live show.
We were going to go live show.
We teased. I think that was the first live we did at
BC's Montgomery, R.I.P.
And we're like, hey, we have a big announcement coming up. Keep an eye on stuff. This is going to be great. And then we posted. We are doing our whatever episode. Was it the 100th episode or whatever it was? I don't know. We're going to be doing this live, so you can come and actually do this in person. And we got a single comment that's just like, this is the big fucking announcement.
And yes, it was.
Mid.
And it was a big deal to us.
It was.
It was a big sponsored event. We were sponsored by Blocks.
Yes. Shout out to Stephanie. She's still with Blocks.
Don't know.
I still have some in my freezer.
Of course I do too.
Every time I'm out, I'm like, you know what? I need to replenish this, and it might take me a bit to go through them. But man,
Blocks
are great. But yeah, I think they were both very correct in saying 99 point whatever percentage of the comments, the feedback you're going to get are going to be positive, because the people that find and are searching for the kind of content you make, they want that kind of content. But the one, like the 0.00001 negative comment is going to just feel so much louder than everything else.
The other thing he said is that there wasn't a lot of content in the pro brewer space of video content in this way.
Yeah,
so he knew that, or he really felt strongly that if he went into pro brewer content, that he could find his niche. Now, as we did, feel that there's nobody else recapping Cincinnati-based craft beer podcast. That's why we're the number one craft beer podcast that recaps all this bullshit that you put out.
Not wrong.
So recaps all this stuff, and so we are in a segment. We own this segment
that we know of.
That we know of, and so we're doing very similar things here, Adam. Adam,
hit us up.
Hit us up.
Yes.
Come out here, hang out with us, or we'll go to you. We'll go to Sonder.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
we have and we will.
Don't threaten us, because we will. And we'll go and we'll record a pod. We'll do that. I'm not gonna impose and say we should be on your pod, but you are welcome. Like welcome us. We'll be on your. You can be on ours.
It'll be a good collab. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. They talked about the hurdles of content creation and how it's mostly mental, which I 100% agree with.
I agree with till you get started, and then you want certain things become issues. It's quality issues, and content suffers sometimes because of some quality.
Well, but that also ties into like that mental aspect of it, because Gnome says this all the time. Not everything is going to be or has to be perfect. Just get it out there and learn from what you put out there. Like,
sure.
Okay, next time I need to fix this or I need to tweak that. But I think it's more important to just get stuff out there, which I say as I'm like trying to retweak everything in my head, which would delay getting more stuff out there.
And we keep
on the get-go.
And we keep going and have two more.
Yes. Okay.
Recaps
so let's.
to go.
Okay. So yes, let's try to kind of rein this in so that maybe we can get a bonus something done tonight to get a little bit of extra out there for the people. Okay. Let's see. Where was I in my notes? In our notes, they talked about the bigger picture of beer, what gets Adam excited, and what is he kind of rolling his eyes at, which isn't in every interview that Gnome does, but there are certain people, certain breweries, certain places to where he does ask, like, what about craft beer still just has you going, man, this is an exciting space to be in and around, versus what are you seeing that's making you go, are we really still doing this, or are we really starting to do that?
Adam has one of his snippets actually starts off with his big quote, which is, having world-class beer or having great beer is not a business plan.
Yes, you are correct.
And that's fantastic. That's a clippable. He clipped it. He put it out there. Great quote. Mm-hmm. Go listen to where he explains. I think in the interest of time, I'm just going to fast forward to one of the coolest revelations in the podcast, which is he has for almost a year not had a lot of different beers, or has only restricted himself to beers that he know are extremely low on gluten or gluten,
gluten reduced, gluten free. Yeah.
He reveals that he has a sensitivity to gluten that
recently
has
developed.
a side effect that I did not know could be a side effect.
Same. Right.
I don't want to say what it is. I want you to go and listen.
Absolutely.
Because it's important. Or watch, because it's important. If you listen, watch, whatever it is, and you feel like you're noticing a pattern, much like Adam, just experiment.
Sure.
And find some of those low gluten or gluten reduced beers. I think that it was a really cool part of the episode and some of the most revealing stuff that was in there.
Yeah.
And some of the most important stuff.
I agree. And that kind of harps back on something that we've been saying for a while. It's just yet another call to action for breweries to easily list on your tap list or have it on the bar where people order their beer what allergens are in what beers and what beers potentially are gluten reduced, gluten free. Let people know who come in that may have some form of sensitivity to something. Give them an easy way to figure out what they can and can't order, or what they should and shouldn't order, that type of thing from your list.
It's a tough one because you can be gluten reduced and not gluten free,
right?
But if you give someone the option, that's on them.
Correct.
And so,
even though it's gluten reduced, it still may be too much for someone. But I mean, at least let them know there's an effort here.
I brewed at a brewery, and we did add a product to help. And it did reduce the amount of gluten.
Is that the product that Adam talked about?
It's not.
Okay.
But we never advertised that it was gluten reduced because I never felt comfortable with allowing someone to take the gamble themselves.
Sure. That's fair.
But honestly, today, if I was still there, we probably should give the consumer the option.
Yeah. Instead of them walking in and saying there's probably nothing here I can have.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. An amazing interview, an amazing episode. Absolutely everyone should listen to this. Let's go ahead and get to the sip count because we still have 2 more shows to talk about. I did 2 different counts and then combined the 2. I did a sip count for Adam and a sip count for Gnome.
Good.
Adam was drinking water because of things that we had just mentioned. I'm assuming he had it wasn't a pink Stanley cup, so I'm a little judgy on that he didn't have, the hottest thing, from the hockey teams and all that. But he took a total of 9 sips during the episode.
Okay.
And because I was watching the video, I was able to count Gnomes. There were a couple of shots where things weren't super clear, so I might have missed 1 or 2, but it looked like Gnome had a pint glass. It was a Pilsner glass, which I believe those hold 16 ounces.
They do.
He took 7 sips, which is just shy of a full pint, which means he was taking just about 2-ounce sips.
Yep.
For all of you people that hate our math, but you know what? It's our drinking game. We have fun with it.
This show is dedicated to the haters.
Absolutely is.
It's actually supported by the haters. Thank you.
True that. So this episode had a grand total combined of 14 sips, 28 ounces, 1.75 pints of whatever beverage you choose to play the drinking game with, which again, that fits for visually what Gnome did and
it did.
What we can only assume Adam did as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good episode. Go listen to Adam on the weekly, Cincinnati Brewcast. Cheers.
Cincinnati, cheers.
And Adam, hit us up.
And follow Adam Makes Beer on YouTube and podcast and social media. He is everywhere, and he is putting out so much great content. It's fantastic. All right, 2 episodes of the Weekly Pint to get through. I guess we'll start with episode 199, and then we'll finish up with episode 200.
Let's go.
Episode 199, the pop-up episode. It was a surprise episode. The ultimate Cincinnati Oktoberfest beer.
Yeah, this is fun.
Pro tip, if you wear earbuds, just use your left earbud for like the first 10 minutes.
The lefty.
The left one. Yeah, so I pulled a stupid this morning when I was... it was this morning when I was re-listening to the episode to kind of like get, my counts and to take all my notes. I'm going, there's no audio. I'm like, I know that we heard this on Facebook, and I was watching it on YouTube to give, Gnome the extra views on all the different platforms. And I'm like, shit, this... And so I kind of skipped ahead. I'm like, okay, I can hear it now, but the beginning, there's nothing. And so I sent Gnome a text. I'm like, hey, on the YouTube video, it's, I'm not getting any audio, so I'm not sure if something was weird. Hit send, and then look down, because, I have, still wired headphones. The left one, not in. I always listen with my right ear, and I'm like, oh, shit. Put the left one in, heard it in my left ear, and I'm like, God damn it. So sent him another text. Just kidding. I was only using my right earbud. Ignore me. And he just sent back, nice laughing emoji. Like, okay, this chick is beyond help. So if you do listen with headphones, earbuds, whatever, the first 10 minutes, you're only going to get audio from that left side. So don't think that there's no audio, that it's broken, whatever. Onto the episode itself. The cuvee finally happened.
It did.
He brought every single packaged Cincinnati Oktoberfest beer back from the reaches of his shelves in the basement. There were over 400 total ounces of Cincinnati Oktoberfest
That
beers.
basement's got to be
Holy
really
crap.
fucking cold right now. Because he
Yes.
said he covered up all the vents and just wanted pretty much,
A meat locker in there.
yeah. You could
Yes.
you could hang meat. Sylvester Stallone could show up and start
punching
punching
things. Exactly.
halves of beef in that thing.
Exactly. So he poured roughly 2 ounces of every Cincinnati Oktoberfest beer into a boot. So he had about 72 ounces of beer. Gave a little extra love to Saunders Oktoberfest because they won the Oktoberfest. Saunders Oktoberfest beer because it is their beer. It was the possessive. Technically, the S is allowed to live.
Yeah.
When you're using it in that space.
Just
yes.
Clarify.
For all you you grammar people out there, I do believe I
Kelsey
used that
Graham.
correctly. Dr. Katz. Nomette was the guest host. She was chiming in from the couch, and
Yeah.
oh my God,
She
the
was
girl's got some sick burns in her.
she was tossing dingers.
Oh my God, she was ripping Gnome apart. It was kind of amazing to watch him be deconstructed by his daughter.
Yeah. What are those called when you light the
A burn?
mazel
Oh, a Molotov cocktail.
Molotov cocktail?
Yeah,
She was just tossing them. Like,
lobbing them. The first 25 minutes of this episode was just Gnome pouring beer into the boot. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. It's like, guys, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. But if he didn't
Yeah,
do
it's
it,
fine.
but if he didn't do it on camera, no one would believe that he actually did what he said he was doing.
I was watching along.
As
There
we
was a
do.
moment where I thought it was pre-recorded.
Oh,
But it was only because of the delay
Oh,
and
the
then the buffering. And then,
gotcha.
But I was actually cooking dinner at that moment.
Okay.
And so I had, making burger patties from ground beef, not
As you do.
not frozen patties. But anyways, so I was in the process of doing that while watching Gnome do that. It was fun. It was a good episode, and I was able to participate. The buffering and the
it kind of
stuff.
cleared up a bit after he finished pouring all the beers, and there were still
Little
a
bit.
couple little bit. Yeah,
Little bit.
It was still perfectly watchable.
Sure.
It wasn't.
I
It wasn't
felt
an
so.
issue. Yeah, I mean, he did say I can stop everything and restart the stream, and we're all like, it's not unwatchable.
I
so
think
no, just
I think most of us participating were more in fear of a more downward spiral.
yes.
It's like, look,
Sometimes restarting
go.
doesn't. Just keep going.
And that's from Julia, who is in IT in the hardware sense. So she's like, nah, just go.
So he poured all the beer. He poured a little extra love from Sonder into the boot, drank it, and went, oh my gosh, this is great. It combined the best and the worst parts of all the Oktoberfest beers.
Some of them he said were bad.
Yes, but combined, it was fantastic.
Well, and I like to say this: when you have a team, you have, the star player, the player that
Sure.
performs, to the all-star level, and then you have the player that just performs, every now and then, the one that
Right.
participated, but it takes the whole team. So
There is no
you,
I in team.
You need everybody to have this collective win.
Absolutely.
So.
And then after he tried the cuvee as is, I'm not going to say that we convinced him to do this, but the audience kind of convinced him to do this. He brought out the poking stick,
Yeah, the Glocken, Schnacken, Schlangen thing.
the Schlangendinger. And then he threatened to burn the house down.
Well, he didn't threaten. It's just the fact that the house. I mean,
could have.
there was a flame, and then metal and hot, and then there was wood.
Which I didn't have a chance to go back and look through all of the previous Weekly Pint episodes, but I want to say that he poked something on the Weekly Pint because I want to say he was in studio and he was trying to figure out where to set the poker next to him that wouldn't burn everything down, and he's only really in studio doing the Weekly Pint.
Right.
So I want to say he has poked a beer on the Weekly Pint before.
Maybe.
I just don't.
We feel strongly about it. We don't have the evidence. Although
no, it's out there. I mean, if he posts the video, it's out there somewhere. It's just a matter of that's not going to be something that's in the show notes that you can search for.
But you did do some research that is going to come up next episode.
Yes, I did. Yes, I absolutely did. Biggest question, did Gnome burn any part of his house or the bar down? You'll have to watch to find out. I mean, we say things got a little iffy, and they did. I mean,
they did.
He's like, ooh, heat's like reaching way
he's like,
a lot more than I thought. So
he's like,
and he mentioned char marks on the bar, so there is the possibility that you need to watch this to find out if any additional incineration happened outside of the beer.
Incineration.
Let's see. What else do I have? Nomad is brutal in her quips that the gnome just, chills on the couch, which we already kind of covered. And the quote of the night, the quote of this episode, came from Nomad. Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's good.
She is
it's good stuff.
She is one of my new heroes.
Good stuff.
I'm pretty sure. She learns from the best, I have a feeling.
So, this was a pop-up to get to 199 so that we could get to 200, which is the live.
Yes.
But it's also something that
he promised us months ago.
Yeah, we should have that. Like that's great.
Agreed.
Good on you, Gnome, for doing it. I love it. It's a thing. After the Oktoberfest quest, it absolutely should continue to be a thing. You started something that should be a thing going forward. So
you have just committed yourself to a cuvee every year.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
Love it.
All right. Anything else before the sip count for this episode?
No.
All right. So in episode 199, there were so what I did, there were countable. So there were sips, but there were also a few burps.
Okay.
So
good.
I counted them all. There were 5 burps.
Okay.
So there's 10 ounces there by our math.
Okay.
Pre-poke, there were 4 sips.
Okay.
Post-poke, there were 6 sips.
Yeah, I knew he sipped more after the poke.
And that includes like the foam, like any attempt to consume.
I knew after insertion it was going to be more.
That makes 15 total countables. Which is 30 ounces of your beverage of choice, which is 1.875 pints.
Okay, so I'm going to say
just because the first if he wasn't,
but he's leading a show, by himself, other than his kid who's just throwing
he also
dingers.
spent 30 minutes just pouring beer into he didn't have time to drink anything during the first half of the episode. Yeah.
Also, Gnome, way to go picking to go live during playoff football.
My God. What was that all about? I mean, really, though, was I even told my Josh,
I didn't care.
Sunday morning, I'm like, he only has a couple hours left to do this. It's either going to be tonight during one of the football games, or it's going to be Monday while we're all working.
Yeah.
Either way.
I didn't care that I missed anything with what was going on with the NFL during that.
No, that was
I really
fine.
didn't.
Do you need to get another beverage before we cover the last podcast
I need to
of
go
the
to
night?
the fucking bathroom again.
So much water.
So much water.
So much freaking water.
I think I'm on
tonight.
pint 5 of water.
You're probably, no joke, you are probably right. Because producer Alex is awesome and keeps coming over to refill our glass. If we had to refill them ourselves, I don't think we would be drinking as much water.
No, but he was doing
it's
it.
readily, yes. All right, quick
I need
break,
to take a break.
And then we will be right
and
back
then we'll do extra
with
content.
the Weekly Pint episode 200.
Woohoo!
We'll see you there. And once again, we are
Back.
for our last recap of this episode. And good God, this is a long one. I know that with the breaks we're going to cut out, but we had a lot of stuff. We had,
a lot going on.
Yeah, we had 6 big podcasts to talk about. And
Salute to you, content creators. Let's go.
Yeah, all right. The last show that we have to talk about is another Weekly Pint. This is episode 200.
200.
We're even more live on location at Westside Brewing for episode 200. Shout out to you, Marco, and Rachel, and Vincent for braving the drive to the Westside to
Thank
be
you.
there. I was so happy to see you there. It was absolutely amazing.
I was happy to be there. I was very happy that Rachel honestly felt it important enough that I be there. Thank you so much. She just is so supportive of everything that I do, surrounding this podcast and being in the craft beer industry all the way back to when I told her, I said, I've got this crazy idea. I'm going to brew beer at home. Thank you, Rachel. It was awesome. So being on the West Side, we made it to the West Side and back with both our rear view mirrors intact.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was all good.
Always a win.
Yeah, it was all good. Westside Brewing is a really cool place. So
Because that was your first time at Westside Brewing because...
I drove past it actually a couple times before for
But you've
some
never stopped
stuff.
in and-
never
yeah,
stopped
yeah.
in. No, because just we were going to
Sure.
do other things, so
Right.
it wasn't like in the loop.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, it was fun. It was fun to be there, and it was fun to participate. And
Got to drink a lot of Gill. And you
Yeah.
got your first Dippa on tap.
Yes.
Like fresh from Westside.
yeah,
Dippa, was it even better than in cans?
well, the experience was better because I was with everybody. I was at Westside. It was fun. Had a really good time.
Very
glad
good,
I
very
went
good.
and glad we participated. Anyways, so that
So
means we were there.
Yes. So this is going to be a weird recap because we're like, didn't we already talk about this? No, we're just thinking we already talked about this because we were there. Gnome was lit. And I say like as far as lighting goes, the best that he has ever been for any Weekly Pint ever.
Right.
This week. I mean, he was a shining beacon of himself for the entire stream. It was amazing.
And glistening.
And yes, very glistening, very, very
Yeah.
shiny. We talked about what's Irish about Gill, the German Irish lager from Westside, because,
It's an uncomfortable conversation because
yeah.
it didn't matter what anybody said. Gnome just decided that
Everything was wrong, yeah.
Everybody was wrong. I don't think you're right. And
Like, no, that can't be it. That can't be it.
I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing about this. It's first I'm hearing. Sorry, fake news. And we're like, no, and actually, it's pretty much as simple as it sounds.
Yes.
German
Which
Irish
we'll
lager.
talk about a little later
Yeah.
in the recap because the question was actually answered. It didn't
Yeah.
just hang there like low-hanging
Avocados.
fruit. Yes. Do avocados hang? Are they?
They do.
Do they? Okay. I've never
Yeah,
looked
the
into
word avocados means testicles.
I was unaware of that. Thank you for teaching me something new every time I see you, Marco.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
We talked about, I say we, it's because he brought some of
So
us
one
on
hangs
mic.
lower than the other? Does that make sense?
Often, yeah, often.
Well, not often. I mean, it's just,
It's the way
it's
it is.
anatomy.
Sure,
Yeah.
right. It's not perfectly symmetrical.
Of avocados.
Of avocados, right.
Yeah.
It's fine. So you and I both jumped onto the mic. So when I say like we talked about, that's why I'm saying that, even though, it's Gnome's show. Talked about how the Weekly Pint has spawned all kinds of fun conversations and community and how
From
it
testicles
actually...
to spawn.
Yes,
That's cool.
Yes, and how it created or how it led to the
And then
creation of
creation.
the Weekly Pint.
Wow.
But no, our show, Truth, Beer, and
Yeah.
Consequences. I have how TWP created TBP, and my brain just exploded a little bit when I tried to recap that. Which I did go back and watched a bunch of the old Weekly Pint episodes to find the episode where you first said
I knew you were going to.
we should do a podcast about Cincinnati
I
craft beer
knew you were
podcast.
going to. And
so if you want to rewatch that episode, it was a great Weekly Pint episode. Like I'm going, oh, okay, I hear this. I don't have to listen. I kept listening through the end. It's fantastic. It was episode 78, which aired on May 17th, 2021.
Okay.
You first mentioned it in chat around the 40-minute mark, and then you said it again when you called in later on in the episode.
2021?
2021. May of 2021.
That's weird. I felt it was 2020.
Time meant like nothing in those 2.5 years around COVID. So
2021. That
2021.
doesn't seem right.
Yep. And then the first time that we got together to talk about, like in person, we actually going to try to do this thing was at BC's Montgomery on May the 25th of 2021. It was on a Tuesday, and it's always been.
It's always been on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Going back to episode 200, no one could figure out where the OBS emojis were coming from. Whose thumb was causing the thumbs up? Whose the horns were causing the lasers to go off? We spent a good amount of time, like the peanut gallery behind Gnome, you and Gnome, like in front of the cameras, trying to figure out, okay, whose hands are causing the effects to happen, which was just as funny as the first time that Gnome figured out he was the one causing the effects. I still think it's something to do with the laptop. I really do. I don't know.
It's weird. It's strange.
He has to do a lot more research. That's all I'm going to say. That's
Right.
for him to do and not us.
No.
Chris from Westside popped in and out to kind of make sure we were good. He actually brought us all samples of barley wine.
That was fun.
That was amazing. Like,
holy hell.
Can you figure out which is the 2021 and which is the 2024? Which one do you like better? Absolutely amazing.
That was good stuff.
And he educated us on what the Irish in German Irish lager is,
Yeah.
which Colin was in the chat.
Yep.
And he backed Chris up like, yep, this guy knows what he's talking about. There's nothing else for me to do here.
Didn't know about the potatoes either.
No.
Well, I mean, we should have expected.
Should have expected it, but no one ever. It's like the Spanish Inquisition. No one ever expects the potato to be that big of a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, redheads. Shout out to redheads.
Shout out to redheads.
I love redheads.
Yes. We
Married
threw
to
out,
a redhead.
When Chris jumped on the mic for a bit, we threw out some new ideas for some mixed 12 packs that Westside could start doing, and
I felt like I had a decent
absolutely you did
piece of input.
Yes,
I mean,
100%.
They could use it, not use it. If they use it, I mean, send me a business plan breakdown. 80-20 my way. By close of business that day. That's fine.
Or just give you 1 or 2 free 12 packs.
Well, I would never ask for anything for free.
We never.
However, that's what it would take.
And there you go. Let's see, what else do we have? I only have a couple other notes here, again, because it's hard to recap things that, as we said, for Thirsty Thursdays, it's hard to recap things that Marco and I are directly involved with because neither of us really like talking about ourselves too much.
Absolutely not.
Let's see. Should the Weekly Pint only exist live? Like, should it be something where once it's live and it's gone, like, should you be able to rewatch it after the fact?
Yeah.
Which, that was a good conversation. There is no correct answer, I don't think. Like
I think there is a correct answer, and I give my opinion in the podcast.
Absolutely, you did. So listen to hear what may or may not have been decided about that.
Yeah.
Because it will still exist outside of live only for the near future, at least. Let's see. What makes a Moorline beer dinner so good? Artificial intelligence.
Actually,
it's the only way to write your event posting.
I think what makes it so good is that Julia and Joe wound up winning free tickets to go, and I think that's what makes it great. Anybody who goes to the dinner and sees Julia or Joe, please go up to them and say, hee-haw 3, badip, and then they get a free sticker from Julia or Joe. But it's a Truth Beer Pod sticker.
Because I don't think Crab Parenting Pod has stickers yet.
Yeah. So it'll be one of our stickers. And if you don't have stickers,
that
Julia,
means I need to,
I'll give you a few.
No, I have some stickers. I need to remember to bring them just in case. And then the last note that I had on this episode, the new outro music is the best.
Thank you.
Like, you have got to, if nothing else, hit play on this episode and then just like walk away for like 45 minutes and then come back just to hear the outro music.
Well,
it is brand spanking new. It is in a league of itself. It's phenomenal.
It's
Absolutely.
Crispy
phenomenal.
like fresh romaine.
Or like a Voss.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. It's crispy
Like a Voss.
Like a Voss. You see, so you kind of saw what I did there.
Yeah.
In multiple ways. Fantastic. Was there, again,
No.
we were there. So,
go.
okay. Sip count.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, this was hard because the camera angles, I know that I didn't catch every single sip because some of the angles had people blocking other people and maybe like the front-facing camera that was focused on Gnome and whoever he was talking to was blocking out like the peanut
So
gallery.
you're saying the
and
angle of the
peanut-
dangle.
The angle of the dangle caused the sip count. This is not accurate. This is the best that I was able to do, and I had to
Look, people,
and I had to
we
keep
do our
going
best.
back. Yeah, and I had to keep going back because I'm like there are
Back.
multiple people sipping at the same time. And I'm like, oh shoot, my eyes were looking over here in the video, but someone over here did a thing, and this and this and this. This is the best that I was able to do. I still am pissed at myself that I forgot to bring the clicker to the live. I had it ready, and I just forgot to grab it before we walked out the door, but it is
Don't
what
know
it is.
why you would leave the house with a clicker, but
But knowing where I was going, why did I leave the house
Okay,
without a
that's
clicker?
fine.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So in episode 200 of The Weekly Pint, shout out to 200 episode. Here's to 200 more. There were a total, as far as I could tell, 90 sips.
Yes. Hello.
That is 180 ounces or 11.25 pints, which is a little more than 2 pitchers of Gill.
Hell yeah.
Which
How
were
about that? And
delicious.
Bob's your uncle.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Get your drink on.
That was amazing. And I tried to count the number of sips that Gnome himself took because he never gets to drink on his own shows. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But again, with the camera angles, this may not be accurate, but I believe 6 of those sips were Gnome's. Because, I mean, we saw his beer glass when we were
6
done recording.
sips.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of those were the barley wine, so it's
Yeah.
not, But,
That's true. I mean, he did have the tasters of the barley wine, as did we.
right. So,
Those were
so there were sips of that and all that.
so
but
good. So
amazing.
good.
Amazing. Shout out to Westside. Shout out to Chris from Westside.
Yeah.
Shout out to just everybody who participated
I
in
didn't-
any way, shape, or form in episode 200.
I didn't buy a 4-pack there because Gnome said
noticed.
he has 2 for me. So,
Awesome.
but it was so good. Like I wanted to, and then Gnome's like, "Nah, I
He's
have
like,
2 for
nah,
you."
I gotcha. Yeah.
I'm like, all right. well,
Any other
I'll wait
notes
for that.
on anything that we covered tonight before we wrap this up and maybe try to get some other stuff
No, we
done
got
before
some
the
more
night's
shit to
done?
do, so
all
we're
right.
done.
If you like this episode, first and foremost, thank you. If you want, you can like, subscribe, review, share, follow, tell people all about us. Tell other craft beer lovers. Tell other breweries to listen to not only Truth Beer and Podsequences, but to our sister podcast, which is Cincy Beer Events, where we will tell you all about the beer events happening in and around Cincinnati. All of our social media links are at our website, truthbeerpod.com. That also tells you how to follow on Patreon, where you can get uncut, well, mostly uncut episodes. I take out the breaks where we get new beer or go to the bathroom because we've had 37,000 ounces of water, or if I have a coughing fit and almost die. Sometimes I leave those in for
So
Patreon
much
if
water.
they're
Oh my God.
funny. The water's funny,
Right.
the coughing's funny. You never know what you're going to get
You
on the
never
Patreon.
know.
So subscribe. So truthbeerpod.com has all of that. If you want to contact us, the easiest way is email, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. Other than that, Marco, what the hell are you going to be doing next Tuesday?
Julia, I think we're going to be doing this. Cheers.
Cheers. Sounds great. I'll see you there.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.